Alright, I want to do a video here. I buy a lot of boats, buy, sell, trade. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Lately I've been losing, so here's where we at. 4.3. Pretty much all OMCs, Mercruisers, whatever, inboard boats that are raw water cooled. They have these little plugs that you're supposed to drain the water out for the winter. Well, they may have, but it pushed both freeze plugs out of both sides. Now we got the boat, we ran it in the guy's driveway. It ran decent, and look, we got the boat cheap enough. It's got a bunch of problems, so it's a cheap boat. But we ran it, didn't really bring it up to temperature. It ran good. We left. We was in a hurry. We got home. We bring it up to temperature, and water starts pouring out between the engine mounts. And see right in there is the engine mount right there, and the freeze plugs are behind the engine mount. So here's my engine mount for this side. It goes against the block, and this is where the engine mount bolts on. So we thought it might have had a crack block, but I can see rust come out the freeze plug hole. So we bought the freeze plug kit. And then that side this morning, that side was kind of difficult, not much room, and there's not much room to swing a hammer to put a plug in. The ideal way is to pull the engine. I got it hooked up to my tractor crane. Anyways, you can do it in the boat. Some people recommend you pull the manifolds off to give you room. Look, I've got plenty of room on the starter side. The opposite side is the difficult side, and this one's gonna be difficult for me because I'm right-handed, so I gotta try to get it in there left-handed. I'm thinking about getting a car scissor jack and try to press the plug in. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but just want to let you know, don't always assume it's a crack block when you see water, because these freeze plugs actually did what they were supposed to do. The frozen water pushed them right out, and so far the block is saved. No cracks, unlike that boat. That boat cracked under the intake between, actually on that side, between 1 and 3 cylinder. It split the block, the water jacket around the cylinder wall, and that engine ran fantastic too. You would have never known. We took it out for our first ride. 3 minutes in, engine seized up. What happened is that split opened up more, filled up the crankcase with water to the top, and crankshaft bearings don't require water, they require oil. So all the oil floats to the top, and it just pumped water. So number 6 connecting rod bearing and the rear crankshaft bearing is what seized the engine up. So I got it broke down, looked at all the damage. I need a block, a crankshaft, a camshaft is toast. So apparently that block cracked during a freeze, and the guy never noticed. He hadn't ran the boat in about a year after the freeze, so the rust closed the crack up. Let me pause and go show you. So the split happened here, and he didn't run it in a long time after it froze because he didn't know. Sat on his trailer. This crack filled up with rust and kind of sealed itself. So when we bought the boat, checked the oil, everything was good, no water in the oil. It ran beautiful. It's only been sitting out for 1 night, South Louisiana. 1 night unprotected. Anyway, so you can see the split here, and the head gasket actually blew out and split. So it was getting water in number 3. They did have pitting from water. The camshaft, however, let me pause it again. I'll rotate this thing over for you. So it's hard to see on the video, but the camshaft, that's rust pitting you see on the camshaft. That whole lobe, I won't be able to get the focus, but that whole lobe is rust. So let's zoom out a little more. So all of this rust took time. It's been sitting in his yard on the trailer, rusting, with moisture inside, but not enough to show up on the dipstick apparently. But the dipsticks on these things lay across the bottom of the pan, so it's really not accurate. Anyways, interestingly enough, number 6 conrod, that's toast. I got the cap on, but that looks like this as well. I got it all dressed up to where I can rotate it. But the block is toast, crank is toast, the cam is toast. So I have a 4.3 Chevy truck, Vortec 2011. I was going to convert everything over. By the time I buy the camshaft, a new gasket kit, and go through it, fresh bearings, I would have been at the price of a remanufactured Marine 4.3. And the difference between the Marine 4.3 is not the block, it's the camshaft. So that's a camshaft with new lifters is about $600. So another interesting point here, look at all these cylinders. So every one of these cylinders has, that's stains and rust pitting. This one has grooves. You can feel them with your finger. And it's wild to me because this engine was a beast. It ran like a bat out of hell, man. It was a smooth runner, and when you would rev the boat, the torque twist would rock the whole boat on the trailer. So I can only imagine what a good engine will actually do. And you can look at the cam, it's blued. It got so hot, it's blued the metal. I'm an amateur machinist at home, but once you blue metal, it's no good. It's toast, in my opinion. You lose the strength of the steel. Here you see it, the rust on that cam lobe. So I got lifters that are bad as well. Like I said, my cheapest way out was a company called Mabco in Texas, Tyler, Texas, and they offer a remanufactured 4.3 Marine block rolling assembly. You get the crankshaft, camshaft, the timing's there. You get no oil pan, no oil pump, no heads, no intake, no accessories. Shipped to a commercial address, I'm looking at $12.55 shipped. I would have been over $1,000 converting that truck engine. So that's where I'm at. Just want to let you guys know. You see the freeze plugs and the motor mounts here. So this one, apparently the freeze plugs never popped out, and the guy told me that he drained everything for the winter. But let me pause it some more. See, everything was drained, but apparently water stayed in this jacket back here and pushed out. At first, when I saw this, I was looking through the intake plane. I ran a water hose through it, 30 psi, and I could see water squirting. So I'm thinking, all right, it might be a cracked head, but I was looking through the intake plane. I couldn't really see the split. So when I got the engine stripped down to this point, I'm like, all right, well, I can just weld that up. Then I pulled the head. I'm like, no, I'm not welding that up. And then I saw the bad cam, bad crank. It's depressing. But be very cautious when you buy these Mercruisers, whether it's the Ford engine, the Volvo, all of them are going to encounter the same problem. There are more Mercruisers on Facebook Marketplace with crack blocks than there are Mercruisers without crack blocks. And this is the 96 through 2006. Well, 96 and newer has this balancer shaft. A lot of people say it does nothing, but it's supposed to be a smoother engine. So if you need a Mercruiser from older than 96, you got to make sure you get the one without the balancer shaft and it's driven off a gear. All that's off. Thanks for looking. So not as hard to put in as I thought. I used the impact socket that fits almost snug in there, and I hammered it right in. I did wire wheel the holes a good bit. I used RTV because there was some rust pitting. These plugs stayed out for probably a year or more. The guy who had this in his driveway didn't even know. But it went pretty smooth.